What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, and I'm back with another installment of Dangerous Minds. First, I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in. I will do all the stuff that I usually do at the end of the video, shouting out the social medias, the Patreon page. I'll do that at the end. I want to get right to the point, want to make this short and sweet, because this is my second time this year speaking about this. When I first rebooted the show from audio to video, we did a show called Ghost versus Goat, which is basically claiming how, even though I understand that there have been ghostwriters in the past, there's been examples like Diddy and Dre and among others that have been very open about having other people pen verses for them and crafting their classic songs for whatever reason. There's been examples of that, and I understand the need for it in some degree, but you can't claim the title of top lyricist, top MC if you use a ghostwriter. That's what episode 26 was about. I would advise y'all to check that out. I might put it in a little gimmick. It's gonna probably be above my head somewhere. But we're back on this because it's still continuing to be a topic of discussion, even 2 years after the infamous now Drake and Meek Mill beef. Over 2 years. Both guys have recovered mostly and moved on. Meek just put out a project that was well received. Drake is still Drake. So, the fact that we're still on this, it just kind of baffles me, okay? But, first, let me give a shout out to Justin Hunt. He is the Company Man YouTube channel, at The Company Man on social medias. I first got introduced to this guy because of Hip Hop DX weekly series called The Breakdown. He has decided to take that show, rename it, what he wanted to, but it's still in the same format as The Breakdown. Murs is taking over The Breakdown and Hip Hop DX. Both shows are great. I would advise all of you to check those out. I look forward to watching every episode every Sunday since I discovered the series, like maybe a year ago. So, just want to give that shout out to them. I mean, even part of the format to this show has been inspired by The Breakdown and by Justin Hunt's show on his own channel. Recently, this past Saturday, he did an episode about ghostwriting and how it works and why it's necessary. And he made a lot of good points. He used the example of Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. He had Saha the Prince come up there and he talked about the collaborative process. He had this A&R, his name slips my mind, but he was talking about how common it is, even though you don't hear about it as much, or you don't hear a lot of artists claiming that they use this type of help. It is a lot more common. Some of your favorite artists are using these different methods of getting help when it comes to crafting songs and crafting hits. So I get all that. But I think the problem is that they missed the mark trying to explain the necessity of ghostwriting, because the problem to me is in the term itself. See, you talk about collaborating. There's nothing wrong with collaborating. When they use the Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy example, those are people just sitting around, and Kanye West is getting all types of help just with how to craft it from an artistic and a visual standpoint. It wasn't just rappers in the room. It was preachers and graffiti artists and fashion designers and different, people that are different means and different aspects of life and art. And they helped him as far as like saying, hey, when you hear this song, what do you imagine me wearing? Or what do you imagine wearing while you hear this song? What kind of opinion do you have about this song from a graffiti artist standpoint, or from a preacher standpoint, or from a fashion designer standpoint, or a painter, or a poet? These different elements of life I want to be infused in my music as much as possible. And that's okay. Even in cases where people are literally pinning the other verses, like I said, people like Dre and Diddy and the guys from NWA. Nobody ever, said I wrote this. Dre never said I wrote these verses. You knew Snoop wrote these verses, or Daz, or Corrupt, or even later Kendrick. You knew they wrote these verses. Same thing with Diddy. Diddy with the famous line, he said, "I don't write rhymes, I write checks." He said it in the song, he meant it, and he was not ashamed about it. And I think that the one element that is in the phrase ghostwriting that I have a problem with and will forever have a problem with is the fact that the person writing the song is a ghost. I don't care if they're getting paid or not. I understand, they have writers that are on retainer. They get paid whether they write a song or not. Sometimes they're just paid to stay put and just come out of the cellar whenever they need them to come up to the studio and pen a verse for your favorite artist. I understand that, and it is a lucrative business. And like I said, there is no problem with ghostwriting as far as it being in the music, but to completely justify it, okay, let me rephrase that. When I say that, I meant to say there's no problem with having writers if you're not ashamed to say you have writers. I understand it's entertainment, smoke and mirrors, everything isn't exactly what it seems to be. Everybody is not a trap, is not in the trap, it's not a trapper, not a drug dealer, not a kingpin, not a gangster. At the same time, all of your most conscious, holier than thou artists aren't exactly who they are in real life, who they claim to be in their music. I get all that, but it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make, like you're in college or in high school and you're given the assignment to write a paper, and instead of doing the assignment yourself, doing the 4, 5, 6 page paper that you have to do, maybe even more, you hire somebody else to write your paper, or you find a paper that is online or whatever, or you get it from a friend and you just, even if you change up the words a little bit, maybe the only thing you do is change your name, honestly. And you just turn it in like it's your own. That's the problem I have with ghostwriting, is because that's essentially the same thing. And it's the fact that if you're going to use a writer and you need a writer, it's been proven with Drake. People have gotten wind of him may or may not be being the person that wrote his lyrics, or him having ghostwriters, and people didn't care. All they cared about was the music. As long as Drake is going to continue to provide the music at the quality that he has been providing it in the past, which, I mean, in hindsight, I really think the ghostwriting thing fucked him up, because Views and then More Life are his weakest albums. I will call it an album. It's not a playlist. It was his weakest albums that he's ever put out. So I think that rocked him to the core, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day. But it has been proven that people do not care. People do not care as long as you're putting out good music. I mean, they say singers, and I said it's your ability to sing that's what's selling that song, not the fact that people believe that you were the person that is on this record. Those words are supposed to be yours because you're, turning in that paper. You're living that life like it's yours, and then it's really somebody else penning and crafting your life, and you are picking up a script and acting it out, which, like I said, is entertainment. But the problem is it is being passed off as being real. I'm a wrestling fan, right? So there was a time when people believed that wrestling was real. It's called kayfabe. We keep kayfabe alive. If I hate you on television or I hate you in the ring, then I'm supposed to hate you in real life. Or I'm supposed to at least give off the facade that we don't like each other in real life. These beefs are real. These injuries are real. Everything that happens in storyline is real, right? And when people finally found out that, or at least it became more, it was more out. Like kayfabe was dead. It was, the blinders were off. Everybody knows exactly that this is a work, like that this stuff is not real. These are just people playing a part, right? There were people that completely turned away from wrestling. That's what I'm talking about. They completely turned away from wrestling, but there's a lot of people that just didn't care. As long as we were entertained, as long as we felt, as long as we were entertained, as long as we tuned in and saw the same thing that we fell in love when we thought it was real, then we're gonna keep tuning in. And I feel like that'll be the same thing with rap. If you're gonna have a ghostwriter, just take the blinders off. Let the people in behind the curtain. Let everybody know that you use ghostwriters. Maybe the term ghostwriter is supposed to be a derogatory term because of the fact that you have to lie to the people and tell them that you crafted this. You're the one that is behind the pen. Maybe there is still a reason why that term is being used. There's a reason why it's being in the shadows, basically. Like you're putting on a facade to let everybody know, or to at least have everybody think that you are who you say you are. But hip hop is supposed to be about keeping it real. So I want you to keep it real with the people. Are you the man behind the pen, or are you just playing the part? But that's my time. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Thank you for tuning in. Please follow the Instagram page at Dangerous Minds YouTube. Also, the Facebook page, please like that. It's Facebook.com/Dangerous Minds YouTube, all one word. And become a supporter on the Patreon site for as little as $1 a day. You can support this show, help it get bigger and better. Like I said, I got big things coming in 2018. Please stay tuned for that. And as always, I'm Vinnie-Dangerous. This has been Dangerous Minds, and I'll see you next time. Much love.